Hello there, I'm Terry Duke. As part of my classic game series where I review my classics, I recently played Mount & Blade Warband, one of my favorite RPGs. However, as I've said in this episode, a huge part of Mount & Blade is the mods. Mod is short for modification, which is when gamers modify games to their liking. Sometimes it's pretty cool, sometimes it's just dumb. And today, I'm ranking my favorite mods from Warband. All the mods come from moddb.com, and along with this video, I also made a video for how to install mods, in case you have the same game and don't know how to add mods. And maybe after this video, you'll want to play the game even more. So here we go, my favorite mods from Mount & Blade Warband. First off, we have 1860s America. Already, we're taking the game in a very different direction, going straight past the Middle Ages to the Wild West. Armors are virtually all replaced with cowboy hats and military uniforms. Swords are a backup weapon now, the main weapons are rifles and revolvers. Surprisingly, the reload animations and combat mechanics work pretty well, it gets pretty close to a regular shooter. And because this is Mount & Blade, you get to have your own warband, though I guess in this context it would be your own regiment? Being set in America, the main factions are the Union, the Confederacy, and the Frontier, along with some native tribes. So we have most of North America as a map, and a lot of effort went into the scenery. In battle, my favorite feature is the firing line, very well implemented. Your soldiers will form up into two lines and you can give commands for when to fire, so it's a lot of fun. In sieges, most settlements are defended by forts, which look pretty historical. So if you're into the Wild West, this mod is for you. But besides the innovation of guns instead of swords, the rest of the game works pretty much the same way as vanilla. It's still a lot of fun, but once the joy of using guns instead of sword runs out, there's not much left to it. Next up, in a similar genre, the Red Wars. The Red Wars takes us back to Calradia, but in World War I era, with strong communist revolution vibes, so it's pretty funny. Much like 1860s America, the main weapons are guns, except we're past the gunpowder era, so most guns can fire multiple rounds and reload much faster. In terms of main changes, that's also pretty much it. Unfortunately, it was never completed. While it has some scenery, most castles, even though they have been replaced by forts on the world map, are still the same scenery. In that context, sieges are completely whack. As for battles, well, because we use guns, the range for troops is massively increased. So most battles end up being firing lines from far away, where the exchange can last a long time. If you can catch an army out of formation, this can make battles pretty fun, but otherwise battles can be much harder, and no amount of armor, what little there is, can save you from bullets. All in all, it's pretty much like 1860s America, but more intense. In 6, we have Gekokujo. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Gekokujo takes us to feudal Japan, around the 1600s, so the map is replaced with Japan, all towns are historically accurate, as are the weapons and armor, so if you're into samurai stuff, Gekokujo is the mod to get you hyped up. Seriously, they did an amazing job. They replaced most of the soundtrack to be more immersive, they did solid work on the environments, and the weapons and armors are so cool. On top of that, almost all fighting animations have been redone to match the kendo fighting style, which is so awesome. As for army recruiting, Gekokujo differentiates between two types of soldiers, peasant conscripts or ashigaru, and samurai. Ashigaru troops can be upgraded to be decent fighters, but essentially all high-end troops are samurai. This is actually very historically accurate and well implemented. And the last big change of this mod are the sieges, which also fit the types of sieges more associated with Japan. Instead of scaling high walls with ladders and siege towers, we usually need to go through a long path without cover to get all the way to the main castle. This made siege battles more dynamic in my opinion, as you're not constantly fighting over a single choke point. So anyway, gekokujo is the samurai mod to get, if that's what you're into. At number 5, I picked Sword of Damocles. This is a bit of an obscure one, but nonetheless a lot of fun. This one changed the fictional world of Calradia to Ponavosa, which is over 3 times bigger than Calradia, with more factions. At this point, we're closer to the vanilla version of the game, but still they added a whole bunch of features. They added lots of cool armors and weapons. What I like mainly about this mod is that they solved a lot of the grinding issues I have with vanilla. Need to make a lot of money quickly? Tournaments in Sword of Damocles allow you to bet outrageous amounts. Here, I made over 300,000 dinars from a single tournament. Tired of running around looking for recruits? Mercenary groups and taverns are much larger, so you can build up your party faster. Besides that, the main feature of Sword of Damocles is that there is a lot more kingdom management. Each settlement, whether a town, castle or village, has tons of new buildings to construct, which all come with benefits. Ultimately, Sword of Damocles doesn't seem like it changes much from the base game, but its additions make for a breath of fresh air. At number 4, Warsword Conquest. I want to be clear, I initially ranked the mods by memory, and I haven't played some of them in years. Warsword Conquest was still in its early development when I last played it, and playing it again today, I'm simply in awe. Warsword Conquest is meant to be based on Warhammer, a series which I unfortunately don't know much about. But damn, not only is this a huge map, there is so much diversity in it. Warsword is the fantasy mod for Warband. You have anything from orcs, dwarves, giants, skeletons, lizards, and elves, and massive environments for all of them. Honestly, I can't cover it all. The mod is just that massive. A true work of art. Just get it and see for yourself. Seriously. From here we're getting into my absolute favorites, starting with brytenwalda. Brytenwalda is a mod that takes us to the UK during the Dark Ages. The countries are torn by war and people live miserably. That's the main tone of this mod, and judging from the gameplay options for this mod specifically, it was meant to be seriously hardcore. I mean, your weapons could break mid-battle. There was also a stamina system where you slow down if you fight too much. Taking injuries in battle can lead to bleeding, which means after a certain point your life bar will start going down by itself, and it's up to you to win the battle before you pass out from blood loss. But the main feature from this mod that I absolutely loved was the siege mode. In the main game and almost every mod, sieges are always the same. You build ladders or a siege tower, then assault the walls. That's it. But the team behind brytenwalda came up with something else entirely. Features to actually starve a garrison out rather than assault the walls. The way this works is that when besieging a castle, you can use the planning method. In there, you can blockade a castle by land and sea to stop reinforcements and starve the garrison out. You can also fortify your camp so that if outside forces come to lift the siege, you can defend yourself from an entrenched position. And seriously, the fact that this mod came out in 2011 and Tell Worlds did not implement this in Bannerlord yet is insulting. But essentially, instead of going through long, repetitive assaults to take a town or a castle, brytenwalda allows you to actually starve the garrison out, at which point they will surrender. And throughout sieges, you will often come upon unique situations, such as the enemy making surprise attacks on your siege camp, and choosing what to do will give you randomized results, sometimes extending the siege for a long time, or even force you to abandon if you start losing too many men to things like disease. Going from this mod to any other, it makes all other sieges feel lacking. However, the one thing I'm not big on Brytenwalda is the tone. Like I said, it's the Dark Ages, everything is dirty and sucks. As a result, most battles don't have epic soundtracks to get you hyped up, and the music itself is often depressing and repetitive. I know that's exactly what they were going for, so that's just me. At number 2, I'm putting two mods together because I consider them equals, A World of Ice and Fire and The Clash of Kings. Both mods are total conversions taking us to Westeros, the world from the Game of Thrones show or the novels. So both mods feature the entire world, all of the same locations, and the same characters. You can get the armors and weapons from the show as well, so being a massive fan of the books, these mods are simply awesome and so immersive. In terms of which is better, again, they're both good in their own way. Both offer unique missions that have you interact with characters that we already know. But mainly, A World of Ice and Fire differs by having implemented a lot of the features found in Brytenwalda, so sieges are definitely a lot more fun for me. A Clash of Kings has a lot more unique locations to visit, which gives you more information about the lore, and the mysterious explorations make for a uniquely immersive experience. But all in all, it's Warband, but in Westeros, and they're both awesome. And finally, my favorite Warband mod is Perisno. Perisno is an ambitious mod meant to bring the fantasy of warsword Conquest and Lord of the Rings while also coming up with something unique. Perisno is a massive continent which features humans, elves, giants, and dwarves. So, where to begin? Amazing soundtrack. Uniquely badass looking armors and weapons. Riding wolves into battle. Unique quests and items. So much variety of bandits. And the modders took the time to really build up a story here. I won't spoil it, but in the concepts tab, they've written an entire lore to the game, to the factions and the bandit groups. And the biggest feature is an incoming invasion from a foreign empire, which will attack Perisno with thousands of troops. On top of that, kingdom management is pretty complex too, much like Sword of Damocles, but it also adds the ability to hire a spy master to be cunning with your rivals, and a marshal to recruit armies and patrols. And troops become so ridiculously OP after a while that it makes for some of the most badass battles you can ever have. So that about wraps it up. It goes without saying, Warband has some amazing mods, made by an amazing community. I left links for all the mods in the description, so have fun. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.